Hello, I'm Jim Moltzen, and I'm one of the master level teaching instructors with Zen Wellness. Today's going to be a bit of an introduction, so I might be going over more of the explanation of what we're doing and how to do it, more so than the actual exercises themselves before we get started and get into it. So we are in the metal phase of the year, which is typically called autumn or fall. And that's all about cutting away, or like with the harvest, you're reaping the benefits of your fruitation. So now's the time to get all the stuff in, cut away the bad, keep the good. That's where we're at, as far as fundamentally with the seasons in relation to the 5-element cycle. How that relates to what we're doing this month. Fall is the large intestine and lungs, and those meridians. So we'll be doing a little bit of acupressure to work on those two organs. Fall is also the time of the year for the sensory organ of the nose, the tissue's skin. So we'll be stretching the skin. We do this often with many of the other exercise sets. Seems like there's a lot of overlap. If you're moving the skin, chances are you're moving the muscles. If you're moving the muscles, you're probably engaging the nervous system and the veins and arteries. So there's very much an overlap. But the set of exercises we're going to do is Bagua Gong. So it's very similar to the 8 vessels set, but with a little bit more of a Bagua theme to it. And then we're also going to be doing some exercises where we use beans. I got garbanzo beans. You could use navy beans, mung beans. I found garbanzo the best. They're a little bit bigger and hard, and they don't have as much dust coming off of them. For some of the other exercise sets, one in particular I explained was the shimyak, or the wrist roller, and we used like river rock or pea gravel. We don't want to use that type of material with these because we're going to be having more interaction with hitting our body perhaps as we go along, acupressure with the beans, or the exercise themselves, you're holding on to it more so with your hand. So we don't want to have that dust, river rock dust of whatever sort. Pea gravel, there's dust that goes with it. This is pretty much been washed and clean and then dried, so these should be good to go. So those are the different aspects that we're going to hit. There's going to be some acupressure. There's going to be exercises where we do these beans inside the bags. I'm going to show you how to put those together in a few minutes. And then the Bagua Gong set, which is about 12 exercises practiced bilaterally. And all of this stuff, I'm pretty sure I've documented in the book. This was the original cover of my health and reference graphic reference book, pretty much the curriculum guide for Zen Wellness these days. And it was rebranded into this. So it's pretty much the same book. And then if you were to get this on Amazon, if you don't have it, I actually changed this cover to be a bit of a blue cover and a little less intense, if you will. So these books, I can find the graphic pages and the page numbers where you can find most of the exercises that we're going to be doing will be in those books. If you need the book, find me on Amazon, Jim Moltzen. You can Google it. You can find my name all over the place. So what are we going to do here? We have these bags, about 1.5 pound bag. I got 3 of them. So each coming together is 3.5 pounds or 4.5 pounds. I'm trying to get somewhere between 2.5 and 5 pounds for each of these bags. You get the bags on Amazon. They're just called muslin or cotton bags. There's different sizes. These are the 8 by 10. They got a little drawstring on them. Plus we're gonna put a rubber band on top of it. So what we're gonna do is just break open the bags. If you haven't already assembled these, we'll do it. It'll take us a couple minutes to do it. You take the garbanzo beans, pour it into the bag. So one bag at Publix grocery store by us was like $1.50. You go on Amazon and get it in bulk. It might be total somewhere between $5 and $10 for enough garbanzo beans. And how do you know the right amount? Well, after you do the exercises for the first time, you will get a feel for if the weight is too light, where it's not challenging at all, or if it's too heavy. We definitely don't want to be on the too heavy end. It's not weightlifting. It's not strong resistance training. What it is, it's the skin. You're going to stretch the skin from doing the exercises, and you're going to stretch the fascia and to some extent, the muscles and the veins. It's all connected. But we're trying to get the skin. And when we do some of the exercises and you're stretching and twisting, kind of like the 8 vessels, you're gonna feel. You're gonna feel the skin stretch, and that keeps us in line with the fall season of the year. So the bean bags, we got one bag that's 1.5 pounds. Again, not too heavy, enough that you can feel a challenge when you start to do the exercises. So I'm gonna load up the other one here. I didn't want to have this all done ahead of time, just in case some of you, needed the explanation of what we're doing. Figured it'd be best just to do an introductory video and kind of got everybody on the same page with this. Okay, so that's 1.5 pounds for each one. I got a third bag. I'll put half and half in each one. Being that I've done this numerous times in the past, and just having done this for decades overall, I could probably go a little on the heavy side and be fine with it. If you have some kind of neck or lower or upper limb, wrist, elbow, shoulder issue, then you might, again, go on the lighter side. Over time, these exercises will probably help those ailments or issues that you might have with upper limbs or neck and shoulder. Even spine. These exercises engage the whole body. I don't want to minimalize it by just saying it's hands and arms, but that's where you're holding the bags while you're doing this. So that gets me all of the beans. So a little drawstring, tighten them up. It's only going to hold so much on the drawstring. So what I do here is take the rubber bands and bind it a bit with the rubber band. So the drawstring gets it closed. You can tie it off if you want. It'd be harder to open it up, again, if you tie it too tight. But if you just put the rubber band on there, you can pull the rubber band off or cut them off. That's usually pretty easy to do. So that's our bean bags. Okay? And we'll be holding them quite often like this to engage the meridians. We're gonna pinch, you pinch all your fingertips together, you see your fingertips grow red. On one level, you're stopping the circulation of blood flow when you do that pinching, but on another level, you're stimulating all the energy meridians, all the Jing well points that connect to your fingertips. So that is part of what we're doing. We're doing Jing well acupressure, we're doing beanbag exercises, and then we'll be doing Bagua de Gong. So here's the books. Get the book if you want to have a better idea what we're doing. If you don't want the book, that's fine. Just follow the instruction. The books always have, a lot more information in them as far as, all of the exercises in the curriculum. So I'm going to rearrange the furniture a little bit. In a moment, we'll come back and get started on these exercises. So I'm going to try to demonstrate and, teach the brunt of the exercises from the books. So you'll have the guide to follow along with it. But I might also put in some extra exercises that are not in there. Kind of like bonus exercises, if you will. So I'm assuming you already started with some kind of stretching or light Qigong to warm up. I'm not going to do that with today's class. I just want to get started with the exercises of what we're going to do. So we're actually going to start out without the bean bags in our hands. You're going to do the exercises open hand. And then once you see how much tension, on the body, on the hands, on the wrist and the shoulder, then we'll do it a few times with the bean bags so you can see what the difference is. You'll have contrast to be able to see practicing it empty hand versus, with the bags to hold on to. So the first one we're going to start with is going to be the figure 8. A figure 8, just like, 2 circles on top of the next. If I'm facing towards, how will you be looking at this? This is my left, okay? So my left, always be facing whatever direction I'm talking about. I'm going to turn my feet 45 degrees after they're parallel. So that gets us our Bagua stance. feet parallel, turn on an angle. This hand for now is just going to be a placeholder. We're going to put it above our waist, engage our gallbladder and liver meridians with the hand resting there, and then back to the back view. So I'm going to trace the figure 8. I reach towards the top and I sink and scoop towards the bottom. When I'm up, reaching up, my legs are fairly straight, my arm is straight. So there's tension from my fingertip to my toes. Again, the skin being stretched. Skin, fascia, muscles, veins, arteries, nerves, all connected. So I reach up and then I sink down. So arms and legs fairly straight, arms and legs fairly bent. So there's your contrast again. You got straight limbs, you got bent limbs, and it constantly is toggling back and forth. So when I reach up, kind of like you're reaching for a shelf. You got to extend up, keeping your feet flat. When I come down, the center point of those two circles coming together is pretty much in front of my own face or throat, heart area. So here's the circle on top. I cross through the center. On the way down, I scoop, kind of like embrace the pearl, if you will, with the hands scooping up a handful of sand, twisting. And right there, you can see my fingertips start to change color. The blood's being constricted in my fingertips. So when I go to sink or scoop, I'm not bending my knees. I'm not trying to bend my knees in order to get my hips to come down. I'm bending from the hip joint, kind of like as if I have a chair right behind my rear end and I'm sitting my rear end into a chair. You don't walk up to a chair and sit down and bend your knees and let your hips, your rear end fall into the chair. You sink your hips back down into the chair. So that's going to be the same concept here. Full circle on top, intersect in front of your face, scoop to embrace the pearl, put your hips back in the chair. As much as you can, hips go back and your shoulders try to stay over your hips. We're not trying to do this. You wouldn't sit down in a chair like this with your shoulders way in front of your knees. Again, you would sit your hips back with your torso being upright. So keeping that in mind, here's the hand on the gallbladder and liver meridians. Here's hand open, stretching to the top. Here's hand coiling and scooping up from the bottom. Inhale when you're expanding your lungs and chest. Exhale when you're contracting. So from the side view, we use the wall to help keep your back straight. When we do it to the side, it'll be somewhat easier to lean forward. You don't have the wall to give you that support to stay upright. But here's where you're trying to get it here. So reach up, scoop from the bottom, moving from here. So if you keep doing this, we're going to do it for, say 5 minutes. You set a timer, we do it for 5 minutes. You're going to feel quite a bit in your hamstrings, right, where the buttocks and the hamstrings come together from that motion. You're also going to feel, to a lesser extent, depending on how strong or weak your thighs are. So this was a very strong exercise, very good exercise that I practiced for about 6 months to rehabilitate a totally torn ACL. I demolished my ACL, is barely holding on to just a small portion of it. Practiced these exercises along with some other, Bagua, circle walking. What else did I do? Bottle form. Might not be familiar with that, that's in the book. And then, probably some of the other exercises from the 8 vessels. But this was a key exercise in building up my knee, making the knee stronger. Because the knee joint itself, there's only so many attachments of the tendons and muscles, and the lack of strength laterally, because of the way the veins, or the tendons, the ligaments, the muscles, the knees are very weak side to side. But you can build up quite a bit of strength in the straight position. And that's what this will do. Very similar to if you were doing the Bagua walking exercises. So very good for the hamstrings, buttocks, back, quadriceps. Anything else you feel, maybe your neck, your back, your shoulders, are all other areas that will be developed more so from practicing this. So I'm going to show you how to do it again. Left side, right side, and then show you how to do it with the bean bags. So we begin, feet shoulder width, turn 45 degrees, placeholder. So here's our concept of the feet, the waist, arms, hands and arms. Feet are in the right spot, my waist is sunk, it'll be going up and down, And then the last part is the details of the arms, the hands and shoulders. So coming down, put your rump back into the chair, inhale, exhale. So I'm very deliberate with my hand being open on the top, all the way to here, and then very deliberate with scooping and embracing the pearl. So it'll be, let's say I'll do 10 of them. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So you notice my toes, my knees, my hips are all staying straight. If I was doing it on an angle to show you this, my circle now is on the 45 degrees. So my toes, my knees, my hips all stay in that straight line. On the other hand, from my lower back up, my spine gently twists side to side. That gets the spine moving in the transverse plane, twisting, coiling. Very common concept in many of our martial arts sets. It's in the 8 vessels, it's in Tai Chi, Chen and Yang styles. It's in Dao Yin, twisting of the torso, very good for the spine, the nervous system, and the organs, giving us that gentle massage. So that was the left hand. Now everything's gonna switch to the right side. Feet shoulder width apart, turn 45 degrees, placeholder on the gallbladder, liver meridians, extend up, embrace the pearl on the bottom. Toes, knees, and hips stay straight, rear end goes back. Try to keep your shoulders over your hips. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So we do this, we can do this somewhat slower and deeper with the breaths, and that'll again, the slower you're doing the sinking, slowly down, slowly back up, that will create a strengthening mechanism for the thighs, the quadriceps, and the hamstrings. So that's the empty hand method of doing the figure 8. In the past, we might have referred to this as palhyung, though maybe there was a lapse in the wording for it. So here we go. We got the bags, the bean bags. So the idea is to somewhat squeeze, like tiger claw or dragon, either kind of interchangeable with what we're doing here. Grab so that each of the digits of your fingers and thumb bend. It's not this one. That's a different exercise that we'll be doing on a different day. This one, like so. Just like that's another exercise too. You throw it in the air and you try to catch it. We'll be doing those later. But that's the grip. Each digit bends. Try to get a good grip on it. It's not just a little bit. It's try and grab a big chunk of the bag. So now instead of that being a placeholder by the gallbladder and liver meridian, it's going to be held in place. We can hold it down. That will require a certain amount of strength in your hand as we keep doing this, in your forearms, or we can do it palm up. Palm up is a little bit less tension, less strain holding. Let's do palm down. So again, hold it by my side, extend up. So now the hand doesn't really apply towards being open and closed. We're going to still coil when we come, let's see, where are we going here? We're gonna coil on the bottom, just like embrace the pearl, reach on the top. Coil the wrist. The fingers can't coil because you're holding onto the bag. So coil the wrist, uncoil. Sink down, sink your rear end down. So I'm gonna move off this center line thing of this wall, just so you can kind of see where I'm at. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, in, out. Open and expand, close and contract. Inhale, exhale. So that's the basic premise of what we're doing. Like I said, we're only doing a few of these, 10 of them. We can, I'm trying to do more of the instruction. You'll be doing more of the practice as you learn it, but you can set a timer for say 5 minutes. And however many times you get, that's what you do. You can also count off 50 times. Sometimes you lose track when you're counting, start over again, whatever the case may be. Set a timer for 5 minutes, and then when the time comes up, you switch to the other side. So another aspect of doing this, I'm gonna grab a chair right behind your rear end. And like I said, you try to put your rear end back when you go to do it. So it's not so much the knees, it's rear end coming down. Now you don't want to just move to the side slightly off that center mark. You don't want to just plop your end in the chair, you want to touch. Touch. Not like a bounce, but enough to touch and then come back up. And when you do it that way, you will right away understand what I'm talking about, which parts of your body will be engaged. You'll know which parts of the legs and your back, your hips, your tailbone, not your tailbone, but your muscles of the lower body, which ones are engaged as you do it. So, chair goes away. We did the left side. We'll do right side. Feet parallel, turn 45 degrees, reach up top, scoop on the bottom. Inhale, exhale. Reach with the hand, with the bag, twist and coil with the bottom one. There's embrace the pearl. In at the top, out at the bottom. In, out. In, out. In, out. You get the idea? Again, either count them off or set the timer. Set the timer for 5 minutes would be great when you first start doing it. If you need to, adjust to a lesser amount. So now we're going to move on to a different direction with the figure eight. Again, first without the bags. We're going to do the figure eight, instead of it being like the typical way to write an eight, more like a pair of binoculars. The eight is on its side. So we will do the same idea. Hand as a placeholder. We're going to scoop with our hip, feet, horse stance width, right? Shift from the hips, hands and arms do the last part. So I scoop and coil, embrace the pearl. Shift to the right. So here's my full circle. Intersection in front of the face or throat. Scoop on the other side. So again, use a wall that's fairly flat and blank so that you can stand close to it so you can do the tracing movement. That'll keep you from hunching your back over. So stand maybe about a foot or so away, scoop on the left, circle on the right. So when we do this one, you get a bit more coiling on the bottom and coiling the opposite direction on the other side. So those are your hand positions for the self-defense techniques from Aikido, Hapkido, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, all the different twisting movements. Embrace the pearl, and then the opposite of embrace the pearl. I don't know, can't remember the name off the top of my head for that. So scoop on the left, twist on the right. Kind of like you're smearing, paint up on the wall. Inhale on one side, exhale on the other. Feet, waist, hands and arms. So that's the empty hand version of the figure eight circling. Switch to the other side. Scoop up the sand, smear it on the wall. Smear it on the wall, scoop up again. So if we do this enough, again, like 10 times in a row, breathing very deeply, you're going to start to feel whatever part is in need of adjustment or addressing from doing the form. Oftentimes, people hold the tension in their neck and shoulders when they're starting to move their arms. Their trapezius or the neck or the shoulders start to feel some pain, discomfort in the neck. Relax. Try to relax. If we do it long enough and relaxed enough, your arms will start to just feel heavy, and the motion will actually be coming from your feet. Just like a boxer, just like when we practice Tai Chi, it'll be the feet moving the waist, and the arms will be coming along for the ride. Another way of picturing that, let your arms relax. Pump the ball of your foot as you shift your waist. And if your upper body is totally relaxed, you'll start to get this shifting back and forth. And that shifting back and forth is your figure eight. Your feet start to do a figure eight. The way you're pushing from the ball of your foot to your heel, your hips start to move in a bit of a figure eight, a little small figure eight internally, and then your hands and arms are the manifestation of the feet figure eight, the hip figure eight. Now it's the shoulder figure eight. So then we can do this two hands. Same idea. Now I'm holding a ball. Now I get the benefit of both, where I'm smearing on top, top hand twists, bottom hand does embrace the pearl, just like you're holding that ball up against the wall. Inhale on one side, exhale on the other. You can look kind of straight, maybe a little bit, up if you want, but we don't let our head bob up and down like it's attached to the hand. You try to keep your head mostly straight. Your eyes can move side to side and up and down. All right, so that's our figure eight on its side from a horse stance, shifting in and out to a drop stance. Previous one was Bagua stance. Figure eight upright, legs in the Bagua stance. This is drop stance, side to side, figure eight on its side to grab the bean bags. Now we're back to, again, holding. Let's start out with one. Again, so you start to measure for yourself where you need to be. Start to circle, left circle, scoop, right circle, scoop. Inhale on one side, exhale on the other. So you can make the circle somewhat smaller if you need to. If your range of motion is fine, you can go farther, make the circle higher and wider and lower. This one doesn't have the same hip dropping. We're trying to just build the flexibility side to side. You'll feel, again, whatever's weakest or tightest, but no need to do the, sinking your hips down each time with it. Just try to stay, at a consistent level. So again, that'll be one hand. Same thing, holding both hands with the bean bags. So it'll be inhale, exhale, in, out, in, out. Big circle, scooping on the bottom, reaching on the top. So to give you, front view, if you want to see what it looks like, the way I've been doing it for the most part is, you're facing the camera, I'm facing the wall, you can do it that way. But if you need to see how the hands are operating, we can also practice the single one with the hands here. Again, just holding it to your side, you develop that right side. Both hands. Inhale on one side, exhale on the other. Feet, waist, hands and arms come along for the ride. All right, so say we've done 5 minutes. We do the last one, we finish up, we bring down the heavens. You can do it on both sides, pull down the heavens, straight up, straight down. Put the bean bags off to the side. So for today, we're not going to get to the Bagua Gong sequence, but we will do just a little bit of the acupressure as far as the lung and large intestine meridians go. So if you take your hand, I'll move a little closer here, you're going to go at the very base of your thumb, which is almost by your wrist. The first knuckle is by the wrist. You take your other finger, like a pair of pliers or pinchers. Your thumb and your index finger goes on the sides. The sides are where the nerves are on the fingers. Most of the nerves are on the sides. And then the meridians are also on the side. A couple of them are on the tip, but we're on the side. The lung meridian is on this side, going to the inside of your thumb. That's where we're going. So we're going to squeeze from the base of the thumb all the way down to the tip. You can see the color change again. I'm restricting the blood flow. It's like I'm squishing the blood all the way to the tip. Where do we have the least amount of circulation as we get older? The parts that are farthest away from the heart. The fingertips, the toes, top of the head with the brain. So you do that about 3 to 5 times. And then same thing on the other hand. Squeezing from the base, all the way by your wrist, all the way to the very tip. And you could take a deep breath and practice Qigong breathing. Breathing in when you're squeezing at the most. Breathing out as you're coming down to the end and away. Breathing in, breathing out. So aside from massaging the lung, and we'll do the large intestine meridian, you're massaging the hands, you're regulating blood flow. It's very good for your hands, just in general, to have that pressure, the increased blood flow to the extremities, right? So if you don't necessarily understand or believe how the traditional Chinese medicine works with the meridians, this gives you a more Western medicine way of restricting and managing blood flow. So that's the sides of the thumb. Now we'll do the same thing from the base of the thumb on the top and the bottom of the thumb, eventually going over the thumbnail. So that's not where the nerves are at. That's not where the meridian is at. Again, meridian on the side, nerves mostly on the side. Again, it's just getting the blood flowing more so towards the extremities, in this case, the thumb. So start at the base, other hand, squeeze the tip all the way down to the end. Inhale, exhale. So now that you're squeezing your hands, try not to be squeezing your neck and shoulders up here. Relax your neck and shoulders and your arms. Just use the pressure of that hand. So one hand is getting massaged, the other hand's actually doing the technique to build up hand and finger strength. That's an exercise, just like the grippers, grippers that you would get like at a sporting goods store or fitness store. So that's the top and bottom of the thumb. So to get to the lung meridian, that's your index finger, again, inside, index finger down towards the webbing, that's the lung meridian. It goes up. So the one we're going to focus on with this is going to be large intestine 4, or Hegu, called Hegu 4. So if you find where the webbing is at, between your index finger and thumb, more so on the index finger side of the bone, push down. If you just squeeze the webbing, you don't feel too much. If you squeeze more towards the thumb, that's not the spot we're looking for. Index finger, all the way up to where the bones in the index finger would intersect with the thumb, down that direction. Squeeze and release. So with the lung meridian, the previous one we did, massage of that, sometimes you can feel it, like your lungs are more open from practicing that massage. When we do some of the hand gestures, we do this splash and flick, hands open, you're extending the thumb away from the index finger. Oftentimes you might be able to feel that connection of the lungs being more open. You're pulling down the heavens, same idea, that movement of the thumb, sometimes you can feel your lungs feeling more open. With Hegu 4, that point is more for pain, general pain and discomfort, and emotional stabilization. So by massaging this, maybe it's the massage of the acupressure meridian, maybe it's the deep breathing, the Qigong breathing that you do while you're practicing it. Either way, you're going to get benefits from doing it. So however you choose to understand or believe it, it's either acupressure meridians, it's deep breathing, it's the placebo effect. All of these, if you're getting the results, it really doesn't matter. You can practice it as much or as little as you care to. So it'd be the same idea on the other hand. Deep breath when you start the pinch. You get to the most part of the pinch, breathe out. Keep your neck, your shoulders, your arms relaxed as you're doing it. So we'll do more in the next classes to come, but for today, just to kind of summarize, we got the beanbags going in order to practice the exercises, the fascia stretching or the skin stretching to align with the fall season of the year. Breathing, every cycle of the 5-element system has a breathing aspect to it. Now we're in fall, which is metal, which is skin, which is nose, which is breathing. So again, everything kind of interconnects and has overlap, if you will. So we did the beanbags, and then we did the beanbag exercises after we assembled the beanbags, and then we finished with some Jing acupressure. The Jing points are more so on the very fingertips, and we move in, those are not the Jing those are, there's other categories that those are called. So we'll be continuing more of those, and then the Bagua Gong set. So refer to the books if you'd like. They'll give you a bit more of a visual, this movement goes with this is the name of this. That kind of knowledge is more accessible in the book. I'm not going to go over all the names and all that as we do the instruction. My goal is to just kind of get your feet wet to what we're doing. So until next time, be well, be safe, take care.